Hello everyone and happy Halloween. This is Model Gaming Show, episode 48 for the week of October 21st. I'm your host, GWFawkes. Let's get right into it. I want to concentrate tonight's show on not only the biggest game of the year, but the biggest game of this generation, Red Dead Redemption 2. It's also the big new release this week. After playing for over 10 hours, my feelings are much more mixed than I thought they were going to be, as I can be elated one minute and completely frustrated the next, and I don't really seem to be alone in thinking that. First, I'll start with the positive, then I'll move on to the negatives, then my final thoughts. This isn't meant to be a review, I'm only 10 hours in, right? But as a way to praise the game for what it does well and highlight problems where they exist. So, excuse me. To start off positively, let's get the easy things out of the way, the video and audio fidelity. Visually, this is a next generation game on current hardware. It's incredible. The animations of humans and animals are superb and lifelike. The world is extremely detailed, from the largest mountain to the smallest pebble. I'm constantly in a state of awe, and it never ceases to amaze me. Gunfights can be especially dazzling to behold as cover splinters and disintegrates, or when animals charge at you. I can't wait to play this on a 4K console and TV. On the audio side of things, it's equally impressive. The voice acting is tremendous, with Dutch being a particular standout for me. The music is wonderful, both subtle and boisterous. The sound design is fantastic, especially when things get hectic, the music ramps up, and the characters start yelling at each other. It's awesome. Moving past those two big positives, I find the story to be gripping and the characters fully realized. I love walking around camp and going on missions with your gang. Every encounter provides new insight and context to the members of the gang. I find Dutch to be a fascinating, compelling, and complex villain. Every time he speaks, I can feel like the strain in his voice. The more I play as Arthur and the more I learn about his history, the more I come to care about him. He's lived a tough, hard life, and while he isn't a good man, he isn't necessarily a bad one either. The short answer to all the positives listed above is that I believe the world Rockstar has created, wholly and entirely, and I enjoy being a part of it immensely. For the negatives, I want to focus on three major issues: the inventory and item management, the cumbersome controls, and basically the tedium of everything besides the story missions. So to start with my harshest critique, I think the item management and inventory systems are straight up awful. For some insane reason, Rockstar felt the need to create cores for stamina, health, and Deadeye instead of having them be on a cooldown. This created the necessity to include a massive amount of superfluous items that all restore the base and or core to varying degrees, or are complete junk, or they can be used in crafting, but who the hell knows, because the game never really teaches you how to handle any of it. I'm constantly over encumbered no matter how many items I have crafted with the available resources. There doesn't seem to be any way to sort those items in the inventory either, like easily. Interacting with every shopkeeper is a hassle, and I'm either picking individual items off of a shelf or looking through a damn catalog page by page to find items. It's tedious, uninteresting, boring, and most importantly, it's not fun. They need to take a hard look at the Witcher 3's current inventory system and use that. As a final note, having to constantly re-equip weapons when you mount and dismount your horse is straight up bad game design. It's not fun. So, At 10 hours in, I'm getting used to the controls, but they're blatantly unintuitive, cumbersome, and sluggish. I understand the need to put weight on your characters when controlling them, but most of the time it feels like you're moving underwater or a step behind. And while I praise the look of the animations above, a lot of the movement requires you to wait on those animations to finish before moving on to the next thing, which is maddening. On top of that, because of this slowness, the cover mechanics have taken a step backward from GTA. The snappiness is gone, and I'm finding it uncharacteristically difficult to use Deadeye effectively. This can take a lot of fun out of the gunfights because you feel so limited. Lastly, some actions are context-based depending on the situation, which then remaps the controls. It's really stupid stuff. Finally, let's talk about the tedium of tasks outside of story missions, specifically hunting, crafting, looting, and your camp. Hunting was tedious in the last game, but it was fun because you could hunt as many animals as you wanted without having to turn in until you were ready to. Now you can hunt one medium-sized or larger animal before either going to a trapper or returning to camp. Also, the animals decay if you've already skinned them and put the carcass on your horse. Crafting and looting are both colossal wastes of time because the game makes you perform an animation every single time. That is awful, awful game design. A crafting animation should only happen when you are done with a specific item, and a looting animation should only happen when you find a rare item. Maximum, at the maximum. Just give me the items. This brings me to the camp. Let me run through the damn camp. Forcing me to walk is BS, and the chores there are boring. Even if that's the point, that's dumb. The game essentially only wants you to do one thing at a time, and it is a terrible and artificial way of lengthening the game. I don't care that Rockstar was trying to make the pace deliberate. It isn't fun, and a game should be fun first and foremost. Rockstar has made a game with a great sense of realism, but at the expense of fun. To conclude, I find Red Dead Redemption 2 to be a game where the whole still is greater than the sum of its parts. And that's really not the glowing endorsement I think Rockstar is looking for, even though it somehow has a really confusing 97 on Metacritic. Despite my frustrations with all the negatives, I want to keep playing. I want to finish the story and the side missions, but unlike the first game, I have no interest in anything else besides those missions and online. In the previous game, I tried to do everything because it was always fun. And even at only 10 hours in, I can't say the same for Red Dead Redemption 2. I hope they learn from The Witcher 3 and patch the ever-living hell out of this game. But I get the feeling they're really way too arrogant for that. I hope they prove me wrong. I'm not meaning for this to come off like I hate this game. I'm still enjoying my time with it and would actually recommend it to people. But I'm frustrated with the way that Rockstar handled so many aspects of the game. To finish out this episode on a more positive note, I want to say a quick note about Forza Horizon 4. I've put over 35 hours into it, and I can safely say it is absolutely a must-game play for this year. I feel compelled to compete in every race available, and I can really see myself playing for months to come. For what I want in a racing game, it has everything. It's perfectly balanced for difficulty and progression, and I constantly feel like I'm being rewarded. Some of the track design blows me away, and I find myself having an absurd amount of fun. Even if you're not a racing fan, I would implore you to check this out. You might become one. That is it for this episode, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a safe and happy Halloween. Make sure to catch me every Sunday night for this show, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can catch me Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. I'm streaming mostly 7 p.m. Check the schedule, though, because it does change. And that's it. Catch me on Instagram and Twitter at GWFawkes. That's GWFawkes. Thank you so much.